Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Saturday. I hope the weekend's going well. Quick couple housekeeping things. First is an apology. I was running around today. That's why I look the way I look, and stopped to check my email. And I got a note from one of your peers. She's very polite, even though she had every reason. All of you have every reason to be irritated because your feedback hadn't been posted yet. So last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, a couple on Thursday morning, I posted feedback, and you'll see that I take a lot of time in my feedback. I'm trying to give you, clear instructions. I'm trying to give you some examples. I take a lot of pride in the feedback that I offer, and so it takes me a crap ton of time. But that's what I work for you this term, and that's what you need. So, not a complaint. I only teach for West Virginia once or twice a year, and there's like huge gaps of time between months and months between each class. And I always stinking forget in the beginning of the term that just because I save your feedback, it doesn't mean it posted. So I put the feedback in, I put the grade in, I hit save, and in my brain it's like, okay, they can see it. Awesome. They have what they need. But this system requires me to hit another button that says post. I'm not sure why I have to do it twice. It drives me freaking nuts, and it delayed your feedback by days. And so I'm very sorry for the delay. It's not a good excuse, by the way. I'm not suggesting it's the system's fault. It's my fault. I forgot the process. I should have double checked. That will not happen again. You can expect your feedback to be posted between a Monday and a Thursday every week because I know the weeks play off of each other. And so moving forward, you shouldn't have that delay. I intentionally waited on week one and combined week 1 and 2 in week 2's feedback. I don't know if I made that clear to everybody, but you see that in your reviews for me this week. Another thing to take note of is my feedback approach isn't so much to tell you what to do, right? I'm giving you instructions and dialogue around, hey, think about reprompting it this way. But the actual hooks for your campaigns, the actual words that you're going to land on, I'm not your creative director. I'm not your boss. It's not like I have some elite level of creative direction to provide all of my master level students. If I see a major problem with your way in, I will say it. But I'm not interested in art directing or creative directing anybody in this class. So you see that in my feedback. If you're looking for, like, did I get the words right? Unless I explicitly say you are off the rails and here's why, you need to keep trusting your instincts. You need to keep building that confidence that you can run a creative campaign, that you can find the right words, you can maneuver AI and your own creative process to get the hooks in place. And this week you're working on the visuals, get those visuals in place, and make that cohesive campaign. And at the end of the day, right, at the end of this term, you may or may not have a portfolio piece. You may or may not have something you would show a potential employer. I've had a past student who actually worked for me. She was a graphic designer underneath me, but she was more than a graphic designer. She was a marketer. She had a strategy mind. She kept on challenging me on strategy. I said, well, you should just go get your master's degree. So she got into the IMC program here, and she kicked its butt. She was married but didn't have any kids. She had a lot of time. And I think she finished super fast, and she did really good work. And she used, for her capstone, she used Home Depot as her client. And quickly after getting her master's degree, she quit. She left. She leveled up. Like, Nathan, you're not paying me enough. And she got a job at Dickey's Barbecue here in Dallas, which is a family-run franchise. And she was thrown into the fire of a family-run business, but ran all of their marketing and did that for years and did a good job. She then was getting tired of all the politics at Dickey's Barbecue, and it was wearing her out. And so she starts looking for a new job, and she used her Dickey's work, but she also used her capstone from the IMC program, which was Home Depot. And she applied to Lowe's, the Lowe's department store, Home Depot-like store. And sure enough, she landed the job, and they referenced her Home Depot work for getting the job. So in the past, before I heard her story, I never would have thought, you would use graduate level work to put in your portfolio. Like, you kind of need the real stuff. And I'm kind of a snobby graphic designer back then. And I was like, you'd never show school work. You have to show the real work. But that is a fun story to encourage all of you as you move through the program. Some of you are just starting. Some of you are almost finishing. But when you choose your capstone, if you can maneuver it to possibly where you want to be in the future, you might be able to use that campaign in this class. So I'm telling that story because I said at the end of this class, will you be able to use this in your portfolio? That is not my expectation. We are exploring cutting edge tools and processes. We're using it to try and develop creative process skills with AI tools, not so much have a award-winning campaign at the end of the day. Now, my goal is to be proud of every student's effort in this class. Like, I take it personally. When everybody's done with the assignments at the end of the term, I want to feel good about everybody's work. And so I will encourage you and try to help you see the things that will get to award-winning, but that's certainly not the expectation. So we'll try to make sure that happens, right? Focus on the portfolio quality, but don't let it stress you out. The process is what's important in this class. Okay, a couple more housekeeping things. I shared an announcement today of a really interesting post on LinkedIn that is a recruiter who's sourcing creative talent for startups. I'd like you to read that. I think you'll find it to be encouraging and interesting. Reinforcing that these types of the work you're doing in this class should help you prepare you to be a leader in the future at an organizational level. And then what do we have? So lots of bad weather this last week, and it's flu season. My daughter's actually in Ireland right now, and she caught the flu. She's over there with Baylor University. And so flu's going around worldwide. And so, and then there's lots of heavy things happening right now, right? Well, out in Minneapolis and just in general. And so I know it can be between emergency weather and crisis and sickness and all that. I want you to all feel free to reach out to me and say, Nathan, I need an extension. Nathan, I'm going to miss this deadline. Now, the graduate program in general is very strict on deadlines and rules for very good reasons. You're in grad school. There's not a lot of room for poor quality work. There's not a lot of room for missed deadlines. And I intend to hold you all to the fire on that. But I don't run my classes in that super strict sort of way where there's no room for any kind of exception. There's always room for an exception. I would much rather you take an extra day and do better work than try to shove it all in before the deadline when you know you're in crisis, or you know you're exhausted, or you know you're sick. So what I ask of you is that you just let me know ahead of time. Because even if it's like that night at midnight, Nathan, send me a text or send me an email. Nathan, it's not coming in today. It's going to have to come in tomorrow. Here's the quick reason. I'm going to work with you. We're all adults, right? This isn't undergrad. As long as when I do look at your work and you're providing, I can see the effort, you're going to find me to be accommodating in that sense. If you're doing chump work, I'm probably going to say, hey, you're doing chump work and you're asking for extensions. We may have to have a harder conversation about timing in grad school. But in general, I will certainly work with you. Okay? All right. Hope that works. Thanks. Sorry again for the delayed feedback. Please accept my apology. That will not happen again. And as always, reach out with a text or call if you have any questions or concerns. Thanks. Bye.